This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for individual professional legal advice. The podcast information was carefully compiled from vetted sources and references. However, Rose Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly cannot guarantee that you will not fall victim to a scam. Let's talk about scams. It's the must-listen show for anyone who wants to protect themselves and their loved ones from scams. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio, Joyce Petrowski, founder of Rose, and her guests will provide valuable insights and practical tips on how to recognize and protect yourself from scams. And now, here is your host, Joyce Petrowski.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Let's Talk About Scams. I'm Joyce Petrowski, founder and board president of Rose Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. You can find more information on our website at roseadvocacy.org. If you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you'll find the links to sign up for our emailed newsletter and or our mailed newsletter. They come out every month. And our emailed newsletter every Tuesday at 9:15 a.m. So in about 10-15 minutes, we send out a Tuesday tip. It's nice to get this, even if you already know the tip. That's great. But what it does is it's a reminder to keep scam prevention and your healthy skepticism top of mind. So the next time you're contacted, you'll be more apt to think scam and pause and do the steps you need to do in order to verify everything. You also find our social media links on the website, and Facebook is back. Our Facebook account is back up. It's been about, little over 2 months, but we finally got it reactivated. So it's back and you'll see a lot more posts there. So today, I have a guest named Shirley who's going to join us to talk about her scam experience and why she doesn't write checks anymore. So let's welcome Shirley. Hi, Shirley.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So Shirley attended one of our presentations recently, and we got to talking, and she said, I'd be willing to share my experience, on the radio show. So she's here with us today. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience?
I received a call from my bank. To back up a bit, I check my accounts on every day, all my bank accounts and so forth. Keep track of everything.
That's good.
And then I received a call. It was Bank America's, a well-known bank. And they said, have you been writing a series of big checks? Well, of course, and that was a phone call. So I was leery of it. So I got on the web right away. And what the lady said was true. And they had stopped the series of checks from coming. But in the meantime, 3 or 4 of them went through before their ability or whatever it is stopped any more checks from coming.
Okay.
And so that's how I first learned about it. So of course she immediately stopped the account, which of course was the account with all the automatic deductions.
Yes.
And so from then so that's how I learned about it.
That was great that Bank of America caught it.
Right.
It's unfortunate that a few of them got through, but that's usually what happens. But that they caught it and called you right away. And you said when you got the phone call and they said they were the bank, you were leery. And that's good because that's your healthy skepticism going, okay, is this really the bank or is this a scammer trying to call me? And you went through your verification process and went right to your online accounts to check things out and found out it was legitimate.
Right. So then, of course, they stopped any more like automatic payments from going through. And so every time one would still come through, I would have to call the fraud unit, which was a lot of work.
I
Of
bet.
course, then I had to call all of the automatic,
The companies you had those
deductions,
automatic
right.
payments with.
and I didn't have a new bank number at the time. I can't remember how I did that, but I told them that I would be sending a new bank account number. Now or credit card number. Some of them tried to go through, and they looked legitimate to me. After that, I had to call the fraud unit every time. There were a lot of phone calls.
Oh, wow.
Tell them what was happening. So I did change all of that, but it took a long time for it to happen. Or it was a lot of work, and then they sent me paperwork to fill out and so forth.
Wow.
I saw a copy of the check. Someone had gotten one of my checks.
Okay.
I had sent some money to a relative, and he works in a car dealership. And I think that he not automatically, but he downloaded the check, as you can do with your
Right. The
put it-
banking apps on deposit the check that way.
you put out the check and tear it up. But I'm sure, because it was the only check I wrote, that he left it on a counter there in the garage where he worked, and somebody caught it and copied it. So he had a copy of a real check, and I guess it was fortunate. It must have been somebody that wasn't professional, that didn't know a lot about what he or she was doing, because they tried to send through a whole bunch of checks all at once.
Oh, okay.
Or two. And so that's how Bank of America caught it right away.
Yeah. It was unusual activity on your account. And then
right.
the volume
and it was
of
mine.
checks.
Yeah, it was my check. And at the bottom was the correct route number and check number.
Yep.
But they changed the amount and signed my name, but it was signed. It obviously wasn't my signature.
Right.
You have talked, I learned a lot from your presentation.
you.
And you talked about gel pens, and probably I didn't use a gel pen when I wrote that. This is the last check I ever wrote. I haven't written a check since. But if I had to, I would use a gel pen, and I thank you for passing those out at the meeting.
You're
very
very
much.
welcome. So it kind of sounds like they might have taken the one check that they found, or in essence stole, and rewrote that check. But it sounds like then they made some fraudulent checks based off of the one check they had. If they put multiple checks through.
I don't know how, and of course, my relative just forgot to tear the check up or what, and probably didn't realize the importance. Actually, I didn't either before that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't. A lot of people are moving to using their phones, and just about every bank has an app you can download on your phone. And I know a lot of I personally don't do it, but I know a lot of people that do it. It's convenient. You get a check, you take a picture of it, and it goes right into your bank account. But the downside of that is if you don't put the actual check in a secure place, or kind of write void all over it, or some people have even said kind of rip it through the account number or whatever, that it's people can do exactly what happened to you, right? And a lot of people don't think about that. They think, well, I deposited the check's no good, right? But not thinking it farther through. And unfortunately, in today's world, we have to think it farther through. We have to think, well, what if someone got a hold of this that was up to no good?
That I changed a lot after that, and so now I have a couple of different banks and accounts and the credit union, and so I set limits on how much can be deposited or checked each day, and notices every day on how much money is in the account and all activity. Now it means I get a lot of
Yes.
almost annoying messages,
Yes.
but I'm glad they send them.
Yeah, and
The credit union is really excessive. They send it on message, then they send another message saying that I logged in or somebody logged in if I logged in, and then they send an email, but that's okay.
Yeah, and that is the thing, right? Is like with all the emails and the text messages we get today from a wide variety of things, it can seem inundating. You open up your inbox and it's like you have 150 emails, right? And you're just like, oh my gosh, and your mind automatically goes to, all right, delete, 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 and you end up deleting some important ones. But like you said, it can get annoying, but you're very thankful that they're sending all of these because it keeps you informed, it keeps you notified, and you would get notified right away if something was not right. You would know it and be able to take action.
And that has been a big help. And now if I'm transferring some money from a brokerage from one bank over to the credit union, but just changing where I'm keeping my money. But if I write a check, one was for a fair amount, 30,000, and immediately Bank of America, I got a message from them and it just said, did you mean to write this check? Did you write this check? And I just said yes. So I watch my phone, I get the emails on my phone, and like most people do, and I just watch it really carefully and try not to delete any messages that I need to keep.
Right, right. It's I know I have a lot of alerts set up on mine. I could do more alerts on my account, and I probably should go in there and set up, more specific alerts, but especially on the credit cards, right? I get alerts on those, so I know if something's wrong, right away. But so I want to get back to, you mentioned you get alerts from your bank and the credit union. So you get an alert whenever you log in?
On the credit, yes, actually on they do. Okay. On the credit union, it tells me that I logged in, message and email.
Email. Okay.
It's the way, sort of the way I have it set up.
And then you get an email and or a message for any activity that happens on your accounts?
Yes.
Okay, so that could be a deposit, that could be a transfer, a check, an ATM, anything like that.
And I don't use ATMs, and I have a debit card, but I don't use it. But on the debit card, I have a limit amount per day, which I think is important, because debit cards, they can go right through your account if you're not careful.
Absolutely. You if you didn't know that before our presentation, that's one of the things we talk about, is your debit card is a gateway right into the account that it's connected to, and putting a limit on how much you can be withdrawn with your debit card on a daily basis, I think that's great. Because if somebody were to get a hold of it, then they're limited to that dollar amount, right? And so and then you're going to get notified of the transaction and you'll be able to stop it. So they're limited to how much they're going to be able to get out of that account.
And I just don't go to ATMs. If I want cash, I go into the bank or into the credit union. Right.
Yeah. And that, that's good, because, card readers, we've seen those for a number of years. They were always found at gas station pumps outside, right, of outside of the actual store. Not to say that they couldn't be in ATM machines as well, which is why we recommend people only use the ATM machine at the bank. There still is a small risk that somebody's going to put a card reader in an ATM machine at the bank, but they're going to be on camera. Doing that. So I think that is a deterrent. But not to say that it's 100% foolproof. So now, did you also mention that you had an incident with your credit card?
Well, actually on a trip to Ireland, it was a 2-week trip, and we were on a bus, and we all got hacked. And
everybody on the bus. Wow.
Right, everybody. But Ireland is wide open Wi-Fi, free for everybody, no matter where you are. And
Wow.
to charge anything, of course, then we were immediately hacked.
And
Um,
how did you find out about that?
well, I learned it actually. It was a church. It was that was the year 2000. We went to Oberammergau, if anybody's heard of that. But throughout Europe we went. But the church found out and informed us, "Watch out! We think we all got hacked." So
Oh,
I
okay.
learned that from them. Then one other time, actually, Bank of America said we have to, and I've seen banks do this, that they have to warn everybody that we're going to change your credit card because we've
Oh,
had a problem.
yeah.
So
And
that's happened like 3 times.
yeah,
But
and that happens with just about every company, right? No matter if you have a credit card with them or not, your
right,
information, right? They've been breached. Your
right.
information's been breached, or their company's gotten hacked into. Um, just seeing it a lot. I mean, we just put an article out yesterday on social media about 128 million email passwords have been found being sold online. And it wasn't just one data breach, it was a combination of a wide variety of data breaches. And so, it's to make everybody aware of it, to go. There was included a website, I think it was called like Have I Been Pawned or something like that. But the website's in that social media post where you can go in and see if your email was one of the ones that was breached. But it's always good, right, when these breaches happen, to go in and change the passwords and stuff.
There were a lot of interesting questions that you were asked at that meeting. It was an
Hmm.
excellent meeting, if anybody
Thank
has
you.
a chance to go to one. And one person said, "Well, I want to send money to my grandchildren,"
Hmm.
which I do. But how can I do that? Now I use Zelle after
Hmm.
that, and you have to be careful with Zelle.
Right.
The first time I used it with someone, I send them like $5, just
Hmm.
$5 to make sure everything went through and it's correct. But for any money I send to family, I set it up with Zelle. People have said sometimes, because it's apparently encrypted from end to end. I don't know.
Hmm.
I have no idea how it works, but I've been very successful with that. Another thing is, I know I get a lot of text messages. "Hello, how are you today?" And of course,
Yes.
immediately you have to get rid of those. And
Right.
another thing, if I can add this,
Sure.
if you look on your, because I check my accounts every day, so you look on your
Hmm.
account and somebody just charged $1, and
Yes.
that's a screen. How does that work? They try to see if it goes through, I think,
Yeah.
and that's a warning,
Yeah,
and
they're
it's
trying to make
important.
sure the card is active and it's gonna go
Right,
through, and then you'll start seeing a bunch of
right.
higher dollar amount charges running through.
And another thing I learned at the meeting is that WhatsApp, which
Mhm,
we use when one of us is traveling or overseas, and
mhm,
you can use it all the time. I don't
right.
think it's as easy. Well, maybe it is, but it's texting is probably easier. But WhatsApp is safer if you're sending
It's
any
encrypted.
kind of important information, as I understand it,
Right.
encrypted from end to end.
Yes, yes, that is true, and I actually just recently started using WhatsApp. Um, I have some friends that are out of the country, and so it's a good one to use when you're corresponding with them. But it is encrypted, and so while it's going to be safer for you to, if you have to send sensitive information, it's definitely safer than using your regular text messaging. But you also have to remember that scammers like it too, because it's encrypted. It's harder for some, law enforcement to get in and see, what they're doing. So it's safer for us, but it's also safer for them. So, normally when they get a hold of you, like for instance, they might message people on social media like Facebook, and they'll immediately say, "Well, let's take this over to a more, personal way of texting," and they'll want to go to WhatsApp or some texting app like that's encrypted, or they'll do the same thing with those hello, how are you, right? Text scams. They're trying to stir up a conversation, because normally you and I would say, well, I'm sorry, you have the wrong number. We'd want to be polite. Well, I want to let the person know they have the wrong number. Well, yes, it's the wrong number. To them, it's not the wrong number, because they're out there fishing, and then they're going to say something back to you, and then you're going to want to be nice and continue the conversation. And so another reason why it's best just not to engage and just delete it.
I don't answer any phone calls that I don't know, but and then I let it go to voicemail. And of course, sometimes they're legit, but often
Right.
not. Now I get a lot of calls, and it says potential spam.
That's nice.
But there's others too. But I did hear that if someone answers the phone and they say, "Is this Shirley?" You don't say yes.
Yeah. Right. And I've heard that from people too, what's called the say yes scam. And I've talked to a bunch of different people in cybersecurity, and some of them will say that's not really a scam, and others will say, well, yes, it is. I personally have not read anything out there, and I'm not saying that I've read everything out there, where someone has been scammed from that. But I look at it as a way of saying, how easy would it be for someone to do that with AI now? They can record your voice and, say that that you said yes to some purchase or something like that. So I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air, right? If it happens a lot or if it doesn't, I'm up in the air on it. But something as easy as just not saying yes, saying, well, who's calling, or this is her, or, something, different.
Right.
It's just another way to be safe.
Well, I found that I know the banks, but the banks are even saying don't write checks, and some places won't take them anymore.
Yeah.
But I have found that, like, I wanted to donate to a foundation here where I live, and I told the director, I said, I said, you can write a check. And I said, well, I'd rather not write a check. She said, oh, well, then you can go to our portal, which I'm on anyway, and use a credit card. So I always use credit cards. And as I say, I get a lot of, and if I charge something on the Big Bread credit card, it will immediately send me a message. You charged this amount, but you were not present with the card. In other words, it was online.
Oh, so
I immediately get a warning. I've set up all these warnings.
Wow. So you can actually have it say whether you actually presented the card or not.
Right.
Wow. Okay. That's nice.
That's with Bank America, and I'm not promoting any company. It's just that happens to be
just
Bank my main one. Yeah. And I have a backup credit card that I use less, just keep active as kind of a backup. Oh, that's what I did when now I remember when I was caught that first time, and I had to contact all the companies that were auto. Right. I switched them over to the backup credit card for a while. That's what I did.
Yes, I had, I'm not sure if it's the presentation you were at, but I had somebody in the audience say that it is a pain, right? Because credit cards get compromised all the time. And when you have those automatic subscription renewals, whatever they are, being charged, to your account, it's a pain. You have to take the time to go through, and you have to, you get your new card, and then you got to contact all these places and give them your new information. It takes a lot of time. And someone had said that their friend told them they have a credit card that is only used for those automatic subscriptions, those automatic payments. They don't even carry it with them. They keep it in a locked place. And so it has a lot less risk of being compromised because it's not in their wallet. They're not using it all the time. And that way, if their credit card that they use on a regular basis gets compromised, they don't have to worry about changing all those automatic withdrawals,
Right.
those automatic
Right.
payments. So I thought that was really a good way to save time.
If I can add one thing, a
Sure.
friend, they were sitting at a restaurant. Sometimes you sit on a bench
Mhm.
in the waiting area when it's crowded, and you wait for
Right.
your table to be open. And so my friend and her husband sat there, and a man sat next to my friend's husband. His name Jack,
Mhm.
and the man sat next to him for a while and then got up and left. And then when they went to eat, and while they were eating, I think it was a store. So it wasn't Macy's, but say I know it wasn't. That's what I'm using it. But a regular store. They said, "Are you charging a lot for a size 12 in the children's department right now?" And so what had happened? He didn't have one of those cards that's protected against whatever. I don't know what you call them. So then I immediately switched on my little wallets to those kind of wallets that will protect you against that scam.
The
It's like,
RFID, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yes. And they make the wallets that are RFID, and they make the little sleeves that you can buy, and you can like buy these sleeves on Amazon. They're really inexpensive. I would imagine you can buy the wallets there too.
right.
But and then I've seen people carry these metal cases that are um RFID as well, and they just keep all their credit cards in there. That's great because one of the things we talk about in the presentation is the swiping versus the inserting your chip card or tapping your card. And then this time when we updated a couple months ago, we added the mobile wallets, which would be like your Zelle, your Apple Pay, different things like that. And we say swiping is the least secure because when you swipe, that information's not encrypted. And so it's so easy for someone to get it. But when they started with the little chip in your card, so you insert it, or the Wi-Fi signal where you can tap it, that information's encrypted when it's being sent.
Oh, I didn't
So it
know that. I know it's
so it's
supposed to be. Yeah,
safer. It's
I didn't.
safer, but
Yeah,
what people do is they can have that like with the tap, with the Wi-Fi signal, they can have a card reader and they could be sitting, standing right next to you, and they can get into that wireless signal, and that's how they get your card information. So which very well could have happened with the person sitting next to your friend.
right.
They could have had something in their pocket, and they were close enough, they were able to get that information. But that RFID, that stops that transmission. And so whatever's in that RFID sleeve, the metal case, the RFID wallet, whatever's in there is protected from that happening.
I knew the tap was safer, but until you said this now, I didn't know why. So,
Yes. Yeah. And the chip, that happens with card readers. So the card readers have been around for years, and
yes.
scammers and we found, when we started to hear about them years ago, it was like, oh, they're at this gas station at the pumps. Well, somebody standing with their back towards the front, right? They can just insert really quickly a card reader, and to your naked eye, you don't realize there's a card reader in there that's reading your card as you insert it. Which is why we tell people, just if you're using your credit card and you want to use the chip or the tap, and the terminal saying it won't, all you can do is swipe it, well, go to a different terminal. And if all of them are like that, then make the decision, do you really want to do this transaction? Do you want to take the risk, or maybe pay cash, or, come
Right.
back at a later time? Because it could just be there's a glitch in the company's system that rendered the chip and tap ineffective. You're not able to use it, but it also could be there was malware installed. And so as where the scammers forcing people to swipe their cards so they can get information.
I also use a lot more cash now, like at restaurants.
Oh, okay.
I like to use cash, and then I like to personally tip the waitress or waiter. So, but I'm always learning, and it just seems like we have to be constantly vigilant. We have no choice. So,
Yes. So near field communications, NFC, is what the cards use. But you can boost that reading signal with an antenna and get a reading from everybody in the room at the same time. So that's what the communication is that's used when you use the tap, but then all someone needs is that antenna, and it's small enough it fits in their pocket. And then they can read people's information. So that RFID is what protects, and it kind of interferes with that signal, with that antenna. So then let's say there was 10 of us and there's someone in there with that antenna in their pocket, and 5 of us had RFID wallets. Well, that person would only be able to get the information from those other 5 people, because the RFID wallet is protecting you from letting that signal in to get to your information. All this technology. It is so hard to keep up with.
It is, and like many people, we depend on our computers and our phones, and it's what life is now. So,
yeah. There's also these things called Faradays, and I had forgotten about those, but they're called Faraday cases or cages, and you can get them for your cards, your wallet, but you can also get them to put your cell phone in. You can get like a case, you can put your laptop in it. So if you're traveling, if you get one of these, and I've actually got one, and I went to use it on this last trip, and I have a bigger laptop, so it didn't fit inside the case before I put it in my backpack. So what I did is it folded, right? The Faraday case folded. And so I stuck my laptop in between it, so it was wrapped around it. So it protected it. Was it as good as having it inside? Probably not, but it was still, I think, really good. And then that's the way it sits in my backpack. But yeah, if you just, Faraday is Faraday. And if
I'm
you just,
looking at,
yeah, if you just look it up, you can find a lot of different sizes and for different electronics.
Yeah, I see that in the messages over here.
Yeah,
I will look it up on Amazon for sure.
Yeah. So it's another way to protect if you're carrying a laptop, an iPad,
Right.
your phone, right?
Right.
Especially when traveling out of the country, or even
Right.
traveling in the country, and you're going to be in a lot of hotels, a lot of restaurants, right, for travel and stuff like that. Those are prime places where even though the Wi-Fi is password protected, it's still not secure, because you always have to ask yourself, how many people know that password? It's
Right.
not unique to you, right?
I am wondering, when I travel overseas next year, I haven't for a few years since my husband passed away, but I'm wondering if the banks will let you open a temporary credit card just for that trip. I want to find out.
I would imagine you could open up a credit card with, a bank, whoever, and then you use it.
And then close it.
And then close it. But if you travel frequently, maybe a couple times a year, or you travel out of the country every year, and I see this advertised a lot, and it's with Chase Bank, and I'm thinking that a lot of the other big banks probably do the same thing, is that you can have the card open, active, but then when you come back, you can turn the card off. You can just go onto your online app, or get into your online banking and just turn the card off. They use it a lot for protections, where if you've lost your card, you can go in and say, turn this card off. So if someone finds it, they can't use it because you've turned it off.
Right.
And that way you don't have to keep applying for a new one and then closing it and applying and closing, because every time, unfortunately, when you hit, apply for credit, it affects your credit score. And if you've frozen your credit, if you're one of the people that have your credit frozen,
I do.
you're going to have to unfreeze it.
I know.
And then do it and then refreeze it again. So all these things you have to think about.
I know. But I learned a lot. I'm always learning. And I really appreciate if anybody can go to your conference. It was
thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you. Well, I really appreciate that. Is there anything in closing you want to say?
Well, I can tell you one good story.
Sure.
I live in apartments, so to speak, now, and down the hall, I was coming back to my apartment, and my friend was there with security. I live in a big place, and security was there, and she had gone to the store for groceries, and then she came back and she realized that she left her purse somewhere.
Oh.
And she realized she left it in the cart in the parking lot.
Oh, no.
And so she didn't know what to do, and she didn't have her phone either because it was in the purse.
Yeah.
So I called the store right away, and they said, well, let me check. And somebody had turned it in with everything in it.
Oh, nice.
Well, there are good people too.
There are still good people out there. Yes. There are still good people out there.
Right.
I love to hear that, right? Because that you really know someone is a great person when they do that, right? There are people that won't even think twice. This is not mine. Somebody left it. I'm going to take it to the store because they're probably going to call, instead of going, oh, well, maybe I should go through it. Let me see what they have in it. They won't miss this. And so yeah, so that's great. I'm glad you shared that.
Thank you.
I did want to, I actually got an email this morning from one of the places that I'm subscribed to, and I've not heard of this scam. It's called ghost tapping. And so I'm going to read it from the article really quick, give you some information, but then also it's about your mobile wallets. So this would be Zelle and Apple Pay and stuff like that. So let me just read it from the article. So there's a new scam called ghost tapping. The Better Business Bureau warns that scammers are using this tactic to steal money from people who use tap to pay credit cards and mobile wallets. So the mobile wallet, and I use Apple Pay, but I only have one credit card on it. And so I could actually take my phone when I go to pay and use it like a credit card, just tap it, on the terminal. So it's exploiting the wireless technology to withdraw money without you knowing it. Let's see. It says, so here it is. They're using this near field communication. Where did we hear that? Thank you, Juan, for that information. That mimic legitimate tap to pay systems. So in busy places such as festivals, markets, or public transportation, they move close enough to your wallet or your phone, and it triggers a transaction. So the Better Business Bureau has said they've seen some scammers pose as charity vendors or market sellers who only accept tap payments. And so once you tap your card or your phone, they then charge far more for the agreed upon amount. But you don't actually have to tap it because, as they said earlier, they just need to get close to you, and it can happen. So this is a real life case. There was a Missouri resident who lost $100 after being approached by a person carrying a handheld card reader. There was the Better Business Bureau has recorded many similar cases across the United States with losses sometimes exceeding $1,000. So they're going to want to pressure you to complete the payment quickly, preventing you from verifying the amount or the merchant's name. And that happens a lot, right? At those like public transportation, at those outdoor festivals, things that are in public where they might have a lot of customers and they're just trying to go from one to the next. So they can even carry the portable readers that pick up those signals through your purse, through your wallet. So what's the number one thing to protect yourself? Invest in an RFID blocking wallet or card sleeve. to create that physical barrier between your card and those scanners. You can look on Amazon and you can, or, I'm sure Best Buy, all those other places probably have them as well. And you can get them for your phone, your laptop, your iPads, your wallets, your credit cards, all that stuff. And verify before you tap. Verify that the merchant name and the transaction amount displayed is actually correct. And like Shirley does, she has instant alerts. So she gets those alerts and she knows right away if it was her or if it wasn't, and she can shut the account down so they can't get any more money. Be cautious in crowded areas. And like Shirley does, she monitors her accounts every day. So most mobile wallet apps, and this is going to be like Apple Pay and Google Pay and stuff like that, they'll allow you to set PINs, facial recognition, fingerprint verification before you authorize a transaction. So if you have something like that set up, when a transaction goes to go through and a scammer's trying to do it, they're going to need a PIN, a facial recognition, a fingerprint. Now if you're standing in the public area and you've just paid somebody, it's easy for them to hold their phone up, by your face and it can get it. But the fingerprint's going to be a little harder. They're going to have to grab your finger and, which then, right, you're going to be like, don't touch me. But yeah, so, that is quite interesting that came through on my email this morning, because that ghost tapping is exactly what we were talking about, right?
I just heard about it myself.
Yeah.
But I didn't know what it was. Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. That
Right.
near field communications is with their antenna, with their software, they're able to break that and get into your stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So, wow, this is great. And I'm so glad that I got into that article and started reading it, because it just fit perfectly with today.
Right.
So
Thank
anyways,
you for all your
yes,
good information.
yes, thank you. All right. Thank you so much, Shirley. I really appreciate you taking the time and your willingness to share this information. I'm sure it's going to help many people out there. They're going to start putting alerts, on their accounts. Maybe some people will stop writing checks, like you said, and I've heard this from many people. Banks are really trying to get people to stop writing checks. They want everybody to do online. One of the reasons is specifically what you went through, because you have to safeguard those checks even after you've deposited them electronically. So
yes.
Thank you again. And I hope to see you at another presentation.
Thank you very, very
All
much.
right. Take care.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone, for joining today, and lots of great information. Shirley's a wealth of information. She already has a lot of protections in place, and she put more protections in place after attending one of our seminars, where we go through a wide variety of resources and different things you can do to help protect yourself. And, check out those Faraday bags for all of your electronics. Look at getting the RFID, whether it's the sleeves to put your credit cards in and your debit card. You really should only use your debit card if you're going to be at the bank. They always want you to put it in the reader so they can pull your account up quicker. But if you're going to use an ATM at the bank. Or like Shirley does, she doesn't use ATMs. She goes directly into the bank to take money out. But you want to protect your accounts, and you want to protect your devices. And this is a great way to do it. And don't forget, visit our website, roseadvocacy.org. Our social media links are all there. And yes, our Facebook account is back up. So we're going to be posting on there just about every day with more great information. Scroll down to the bottom of the homepage. You can see the links not the links, you just fill out some information to sign up for our emailed newsletter and or our mailed newsletter. And the emailed newsletter comes out the mini one with the Tuesday tip comes out every Tuesday morning at 9:15. So that just recently came out for this week. And we have an event coming up. April 10th of 2026 is our 4th annual golf tournament here in Phoenix. If you're here in Phoenix or you're going to be in town that week, check us out. It's on the website, or it's on the website, but it's also it has a specific website. You can just get in touch with us and we can send you all that information. We're looking for sponsors, auction items, volunteers, golfers, all types of stuff. So more information on that to come in the newsletters and social media. And Brian is going to be with you for the next 2 weeks. So look forward to chatting with Brian over the next couple weeks. Thanks, and I'll see you back later this month.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.